Sort of gets me to the second question, or the second sort of concern, which is if you look both at the case studies of areas around Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania in the past, as well as if we go back in time and look at, say, 1969, the Santa Barbara oil spill, or 2010, the Gulf oil spill. One of the major problems with these incidents was the technical aspects. The well casings were not done properly. The wrong type of cement was used. The curing process was not done long enough to allow the cement to properly settle before pressure tests were done. And if your technical failures are what are leading to environmental problems or contamination of wells, then we need to make sure that we have the strongest possible guidelines and safety measures in place so that when they're doing their casing of the well, and they're running the string, and they're tripping out the wells, that process is done not only properly, but is done safely. Unfortunately, one of the things that we talked about in my class, sort of as we were moving into this document, was what actually led to the Gulf oil spill. And it was essentially safety failure after safety failure after safety failure, some mechanical and some human. But they were all done because people were trying to cut corners to save a little bit of money to get a job done faster. And so one of, I think, our challenges as the public is to say, okay, if I want to cook that egg for breakfast I had and have my cheese McMuffin, or have my egg McMuffin, or my coffee, and I'm using gas, and it's coming from Ohio or New York, until I have a solution to do that without having gas, then we're going to keep drilling. And if that's the case, how are we going to do this as safely and as responsibly and as technically proficient as possible? Because at the end of the day, while I think we should be pushing for long-term energy policy changes, that doesn't fix tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and a week from now. But while a lot of these documents and processes are going on, technology is advancing, the challenge for us is to say, okay, this is our home, this is our water, our land, and we want everything to be done, as strongly and as technically competently as can be done both on a technical level and on a safety level. Because if those things happen, in a lot of the case studies we've seen in Pennsylvania and other places, part of the reason we had water contamination is because you had essentially faulty well casings. Casing itself was done improperly, the cement job was done improperly, or something in the actual process of testing the well, pressure blew something out, and some point in that safety procedure, something failed. And these are usually what leads to things like methane gas migrating up and getting into drinking water, or possibly getting into drinking water, or fluids getting into other areas. And so the better that we can say, okay, here's how this technical process works, here's the safeguards that the state has in place, that private contractors, that rig companies, that drillers have in place, so that we know that even if we may individually agree or disagree about how much mining we should be doing or where we should be doing it, at least we know that the basic safety and technical procedures are as good as they can be and are being followed, to the letter, in the sense that the people operating do really care about your water if they're drilling near your wells, or about a city area, particularly since it sounds like a lot of urban areas are looking more here now in Ohio after Senate Bill 165 was passed last year, sort of revising and updating urban drilling guidelines. So what we're saying, one of the challenges is as we move into an era where gas is becoming the next big fuel, as oil sort of goes on decline, we're seeing huge purchases from 2008 to 2010 all over the Utica and Marcellus shales, companies just sort of getting ready for places like New York to update and revise their guidelines. We need to make sure, if this is going to happen, that we have every possible safeguard in place and that we know that we're not fudging corners and we're not trying to save $100,000 on one operation for the benefit of that company. Yeah, we all want to save money and earn as much as we can, but it should not come at the expense of the local landowner